When you've tried everything to get someone to be on the same page as you, to meet you in the middle, and they just won't. They shut down, they distance themselves, they're hot and cold. Sometimes the only thing that that person needs is to be on their own with themselves and to experience the consequences of their own actions and inability to listen, to hear you, to see you. And after you've tried so hard, you fought and fought and fought for the relationship. You did everything you could. You said it in the kindest way, the calmest way. You tried to choose the right moments, and it was never the right moment for someone who was not willing to listen. And so sometimes they need to be on their own with themselves because it was never your job to try to make them want to meet you in the middle, to try to make them want to care. And really, it is honestly the bare minimum that you were asking for. Sometimes people really need to experience life. And whenever you've tried to explain things to them, you've told them the theory, you've maybe showed them books, you've showed them videos on the internet, hoping that something would click. But all those things are words, they're not experience. And you know yourself that you've had the greatest lessons from experiencing something that was difficult. And often what happens with people who are avoidant is that they avoid those difficult experiences because the people around them accommodate for them, because that's the way they've trained their world to be. They even trained you to do it. And so now it's time for them to learn something different, to experience losing you, to experience silence, to experience you pulling your energy back, not chasing, not fixing, for that to be a genuine shift in the dynamic, not because you're trying to control them, but because you have grown. You have realized that it wasn't your job to try to explain to them. You've realized how draining that was for you, and you're starting now to choose you. The energy is changing. They're starting to experience a different version of you, one that shows them how to love you, because people treat us the way that we teach them to treat us. People show us how we feel about ourselves. And so we have to live in alignment with a version of us that truly chooses and loves ourselves, because that way is the only way that people will know that this is who we are and this is what we expect. Everybody deserves love and respect. And whenever you've grown up in an environment where you had to fight for it, you had to prove it, you had to prove somehow that you were worthy of being seen, then this makes this really difficult. And this is why we meet people who keep that pattern alive, who keep us being the same. But the only way that that pattern changes is not by expecting others to change, but when we take the first step, when we change and we show people, no, that's not who I am anymore. And the dynamic like this only changes when we really do something different. We spend a lot of time focusing on them, their avoidance, the reasons why they are the way that they are, and all of that is avoidance of why we are the way that we are. And that is what this is all about, honestly. This is the reason why you met this person. So they have to experience being with themselves and experiencing that discomfort. And yes, they might jump ship. They might go over to somebody else, but only to meet themselves there again, only to have the same arguments, only to be met with the same resistance from somebody else who wants to be loved, just like you. And it is not possible when somebody is shutting off, when they're doing their strategic coping mechanisms that kept them safe once. And that's not because they're a bad person, and we don't need to villainize them. We don't need to criticize them. We don't need to even make them the problem, but we do need to take responsibility for our own life and our own choices and the way that we are committing to being loved and loving. Sometimes, honestly, as well, think about it like this. I know it's hard to step back when you really, really want the confirmation that this is going to work out, that it's going to transform. But the most loving thing that you can do for people is let them be with themselves, experience something difficult sometimes. This person likely knows that you are an amazing person who's thrown so much energy and love into them. And when that goes, it's like the background noise suddenly turns off and you realize that actually all of that energy was making your life full and interesting, and someone loved me and this is how it was, but they only notice it when it's gone. And so sometimes that is the best thing for them. And for you, not because, again, not because you're trying to control them, but because you're showing yourself that you don't have to prove, fix, figure this out for them. That's not your role and never was. And that behavior can end now. And let's say, worst case scenario, that you pull back and they never come back. I know that's what you fear. I know that's the worrying thing that everybody holds on to. I know that's why people stay, in the hope that something will just change eventually. But if that was to happen, honestly, it shows you everything that you needed to know. It doesn't show you that you weren't lovable or that they didn't love you. It shows you that they were not capable of meeting you where you are. It was all on you. And that was going to drain you and burn you out. And you needed to know sooner rather than later. And so sometimes stepping back gives you the evidence and the truth and the reality of the situation that maybe you were avoiding on some level. Because we know when we're trying too hard. We know when we're giving too much. We know when we're getting burnt out. But somehow we hope that the other person will just love us back as much eventually. And sometimes they just don't. They get used to that being the way that it is. The more you give, the more they take. And that is not the goal of a relationship. You want someone who really knows that they want you. That has to be the number one thing. They are sure about you. They are sure that they want to fight for this. They are sure that they're in this with you together. And if it's not sure, then it's unstable. And you're going to overcompensate for that every time. So sometimes the best thing to do is let people be where they are and trust yourself, trust life, trust love, and trust the universe, trust God, that this is going to be okay, that you're going to be okay, that you are okay, that this person's going to be okay when you do what is best for you. And I know it doesn't feel like it's the best thing because all you want is to fix it and to make it work. But sometimes the hardest decisions of our lives are the ones that really grow us the most and that give us eventually everything that we've ever wanted. So think about this today and think about how you're being right now and how much you're letting someone stay exactly where they are. It's a bit like anybody who's got like an addiction. Avoidance at the end of the day is like an addictive behavior to avoiding things that are hard. And everybody around them is so used to letting them do that. Don't be someone who lets them stay the same. I'm sure that you can see the potential for them to grow. Be someone in their life who teaches them that they can. And if you're struggling with this, I totally get it. I went through this too. It's the hardest thing in the whole world. It makes you feel so conflicted, so confused. You doubt yourself. You second guess if it was the right thing. You second guess if you're, maybe to blame. Maybe it was all you. All the guilt comes up. Maybe you're hurting them. It's horrible. But actually, all of those things are normal when you've lived in the survival of accommodating, people pleasing, and bending over backwards for people who are not even meeting you halfway. So of course it feels strange. Of course you're going to doubt yourself. But experience only happens and insight only happens after we take that step. So I hope you found this video useful. If you'd like any more information about what I do, if you'd like any coaching, or if you'd like to come to the living room where you can get coaching every week on a Wednesday at 1 o'clock in a beautiful group of people who are going through something similar, I'd love to meet you. And if not, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.